My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of R.I.P.D. There'll be spoilers in this review, like you give a shit. But anyways, this is a movie I heard terrible things about, but it always looked kind of fun to me. It looked like it could be a new version of Men in Black, so I actually started it expecting to be like, it's actually not bad. But within the first minute, all of that just went away, and I'm like, oh, this movie is going to be way worse than I was expecting, and that is indeed the case. This movie is just awful. Like, the first 2 minutes are so horrendous. The writing, the style, the visual look of it, it's all so bad. And then we just get so much exposition in like 10 minutes where Kevin Bacon just tells Ryan Reynolds, oh yeah, we did this and we did this and we did this and we did this. And Ryan Reynolds like, I don't want to do this anymore. Kevin Bacon's like, oh, okay. And it's just so predictable from the very start, and it only gets worse from that point forward. The scene where Ryan Reynolds dies, it's laughable. Like, he falls down and it just looks so fake. And you'll hear me saying that a lot here. But remember the scene when Gwen Stacy dies in The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Not a great movie, but that's a great scene. And it just feels real. But here, it just looks like someone accidentally did some visual effects they weren't supposed to. And it just looks off. And we get introduced to this world, and the world building is just awful. It doesn't go any deeper than it being a Men in Black ripoff. And Ryan Reynolds is this Asian man played by James Hong, and then the Jeff Bridges character is played by this good-looking female, and it just doesn't make sense to me then why you would have Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges star in this movie. Like, if you're going to introduce that idea, then fully go for it. I think James Hong and that one girl teaming up is something much more different than Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges. And if you're going to introduce that, then just go out for it, because we see Ryan Reynolds, but everyone else sees someone else. It's like Wonder Woman 1984. Why would you bring Chris Pine back, but looking like someone else if we see him as Chris Pine? It's just, it's really frustrating. But anyways, the story we get is generic and predictable. You can predict every single thing that happens early on. Nothing has an ounce of impact, and the characters are just so bland. Ryan Reynolds has potential. He's great in Buried. He's great in Adventureland. He's great in Deadpool. He's great in The Voices. I like him in The Proposal, but my goodness, he just is running on autopilot these days, and that's definitely the case with this movie. Like, he just doesn't even try, it feels like. There's no bit of charm or charisma. It's a very flat performance. And Jeff Bridges I love, but this is around the time where he kept doing that weird voice. You know how Adam Sandler has that little Nicky voice where he keeps talking like this and it's really annoying? Well, Jeff Bridges has his own version of that, where he just talks like this and it sounds like a comedic over-the-top parody, and it just gets really annoying. So I didn't like any of those two performances. I didn't buy the relationship that forms between them. It doesn't feel like any of them cared. Then you've got Kevin Bacon as a villain, and I like him as an actor, but he's not good in this movie. Then you've got Mary-Louise Parker. She's bland. She has nothing to add. You've got Stephanie Sutak as Ryan Reynolds' wife, and her character is written terribly, and I don't think her performance was good. James Hong has nothing to work with, and I'm just saying I would pick James Hong over Ryan Reynolds any day of the week. So none of the acting worked for me, and the CGI is the worst part of this movie. Maybe CGI was a mistake because it looks absolutely atrocious here. This movie came out in 2013, and it would be unforgivably bad if it came out in the early 1990s. It's just awful, and it took me out of the movie time and time again, and just nothing looks real. And you see these creatures and they look so dumb and goofy, and you can't take this movie seriously. I know it's not a visual effect, but even the way the gourd looks, this movie just looks so cheap. The sound's also off in a few moments. I hate the musical score. I hated the soundtrack. So just none of that worked for me. The only bit of credit I'll give this movie is that the director, Robert Schwinke, I think that's his name, he at least tried to give this movie a style. I like what he's trying to do with the camera, with all these long shots and these zoom ins and these zoom outs. He's doing the best he can. He's trying to do something different with the camera. And I like what he's trying to do, but with the bad CGI and the bad lighting and all that, it just doesn't work. Also, one more negative I'll say is that, like, for some reason, people like don't see these creatures. Like, a town's getting destroyed and just no one really reacts to it, so that's really weird. But look, this movie I heard was terrible, and it's way worse than that. This movie was so incredibly boring and a complete waste of time. The story is generic and predictable and did absolutely nothing for me. The characters are as flat as they come, the performances bring nothing to this movie, and it's just unforgivably ugly. The CGI is horrendous, there's no excuse for it, it's a terribly made movie. I like what he's trying to do with the camera, but it's not enough. I'm gonna go ahead and give R.I.P.D a 0.5 out of 10. And I forgot to mention, it is just a Men in Black ripoff. Like, it's so obvious and so blatant, and yeah. But anyways, what did you think of R.I.P.D? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon. Gavin, out.